Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. So if you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making it. Today we're back. It's weird. It's weird being away from you guys. I mean, it's been a full 5 days since I've recorded a video. It's been 3 days since I've dropped a video. I'm sure you guys miss me. I miss y'all, and I mean, I'm just so hyped. I mean, I have a whole new video idea that we're gonna do up until the merge, and I think you guys are gonna like it. But before we start, 72% of you guys who are watching these videos aren't subscribed. Let's change that. It's easy and it's free. If that's it, let's get right into the video. So last week I had posted the true contenders for Survivor 41, which was the people that I felt like had the chance of winning. Not necessarily people who I thought were going to get far, or necessarily the people who I thought would win if they got to the end, but the people who fit both of those categories. And obviously you guys liked it. I mean, it already has near 700 views. You guys really liked it. So what I'm going to do is, while we still have a bunch of people here, aka during the pre-merge, I'm going to do a true contenders every week until the merge, which could be just this week, it could be this week and next week, or it could be this week, next week, and the week after that, depending on if they merge at 13, 12, or 11. We will just have to see. So I know that this is dropping on Tuesday, but usually this will be the Monday video. So I'll kick off the week for the pre-merge with a Monday video talking about the true contenders, and then the Tuesday video will be a little bit more specific. Now, if you guys have any suggestions for videos, drop them in the comments. Maybe I'll like it and make it, and I'll pin your comment or whatever. But I mean, again, I'm always open to ideas, suggestions. But I mean, we're back, we're strong, and let's get right into the video. The true contenders of Survivor 41 in the 4th week of the season's airing. So before I get into the individual tribes, I want to make it, make this a ritual where on each of these videos, I'll talk about where the person who went home, if I had them as a contender or not. And sadly, I was wrong. I had Brad as a contender. I thought that if Brad could cool it down and get to the merge, Brad would win at the end, and Brad could get to the end if he didn't, constantly play this crazy game. But Brad obviously made some very obvious mistakes. Brad made several mistakes. I mean, he overplays his hand. I do think him risking for the advantage at the island was a good move, because he knew that at least one of the girls was not going to risk it, and honestly, his vote didn't matter that much anyway, because either his people were with him or not. I think his worst move by far is telling Shantel about all of his advantages. He really didn't have to tell her about that, and she must have had him fooled, because he definitely thought that she was his #1 ally. And so that's how Brad fared last week. Hopefully the people who I put as true contenders for the season don't end up getting voted out next week. That would be quite sad, I guess you could say. All right, starting off with Yase. First, I'm going to talk about, as with every single tribe, I'm going to talk about the people who I feel like are not contenders, and then after that, I will move to the contenders, and I'll do this for each individual tribe. So starting out on Yase, I think, first of all, Lyanna, not a contender. I think Lyanna's edit is surprisingly not that negative, but I just, Lyanna, for me, that emotional scene did not cut it for me as some sort of like quote-unquote winner's edit. It showed her to be kind of weak and like kind of whiny. I mean, unless we're supposed to relate to that, because I sure did not relate to it at all. I thought it was kind of silly and just like, what are you doing? Like, you're like, why are you crying? Like, the person you wanted out didn't get out. Stop crying. Like, there's no need to be like a wuss about it. And that's how it seemed to me, is more wussy, rather than like emotionally complex. Like, for me, a person like Shantel seems like emotionally complex, where she can has like an evil side and a good side, whereas Lyanna just seems like a side character. And again, as I stated last week, a very second in command type of person to Evie in that 2-person alliance. And so I feel like that's really not going to benefit her come final tribal if she can even get to the end, because she probably will have Evie take all of the credit for her moves. And so that's why I feel like Lyanna isn't necessarily at contender status yet, but check back in next week, because I might have her at contender next week if she has some good positive footage from this next episode. For me, it's just the edit really isn't there for Lyanna, and her screen time really isn't there either. Next, I got Tiffany. I mean, nothing's changed. I think Tiffany may or may not get to the end. I think for me, it's either Tiffany or Heather in that last spot at Final Tribal. That's going to get 0 votes, but it's either going to be Tiffany or Heather for me. And I'm leaning towards Heather, but it also could be Tiffany. But that means that neither of them have a chance to win. And spoiler, yes, Heather, I have at the no chance to win mark on my Luvu tribe as well. But back to Tiffany. I also have her there as well. I feel like Tiffany has no shot of winning. She's not a very good player. Strategically, she has a bond with Evie, which could take her very deep. But again, she's not going to win. She's going to get dragged to the end by Evie. And then as far as physically, I mean, come on. And so that doesn't really leave many possibilities for Tiffany. And so that's why I have her here at no contender, non-contender, nunca, ningwin, whatever language you want to say it in. It's just she ain't it. Moving on to our contenders for the Yase tribe. First, I got Xander. I think Xander is in a really tough spot here, but if he can get off this tribe, which I think he might have a decent shot at, he has a really, really good shot to go the distance. But first, before I just list through everything that is positive on him, let me talk about why I feel like he could get out of this tribe. So I think his edit is fantastic. I think Xander's getting a great edit. It feels like more of a winner's edit than anything, and I think that fares for him well. And I feel like if he can keep up that winner's edit type of vibes, it's very positive, but it's not too positive. We're getting personal content about him. Now I don't think it's too super personal like Shantel's is, where I feel like Shantel's getting a little bit more of a winner's edit, but for the circumstances that he's in, he's getting a very, very positive edit. And so maybe he's not like the winner's edit, but maybe he can definitely get off this tribe. And if he gets off the tribe, I think he's in a great spot at the merge. He has so him and Evie, if they can pair up, Evie has a relationship with Deshawn. Obviously, he can win challenges as well, but he also has that relationship with JD and Danny from the first Island Twist. And then on top of that, I mean, he did have the relationship with Brad over the idol thing, but obviously that's gone now. But also, if he gets in the merge, I believe he probably gets his vote back. I would hope. I swear to God, if he gets the final 5 and they're like, you still don't have your vote, that'd be the dumbest thing ever. So I'm pretty sure he gets his vote back, which then makes his, I believe he has a steal vote, I think, super valuable, or maybe an extra vote. And so I think overall it's very, very, very a great spot that he's in. It's just a matter of, can he get in a spot where he can use all of this? And until then, he has no vote, he has no power on the tribe, and really he's at Evie's mercy. And so he's either going to have to win every single challenge until the merge, which is probably only like 1 or 2 more, but he's going to have to do that, or just hope that Evie doesn't vote him out, and instead Evie votes out Tiffany or Lyanna. And I feel like Evie was probably leaning towards Tiffany or Lyanna rather than Xander. But personally, if I'm Evie, I just vote out Xander because he has so much power if he gets to the merge that she could really get screwed over and have like a situation where if she keeps Xander, like Kelly keeps Dean in Island of the Owls, Kelly then gets flipped on by Dean at the merge vote, which could also happen to her. And so I feel like Xander's in a really good spot here, and if he can get to the merge, he's in a really, really, really good spot. And lastly, on the Yase tribe, I got Evie. I think Evie's also in a great spot, except for different reasons. I think Evie, if the game was her tribe in just period, it would be a coast to a win for her. I think Evie's more worried about the merge than she is on her tribe right now, whereas with Xander, it's the exact opposite. He's worried about the merge, whereas he's worried about his tribe, and he's really, really hoping for a merge. Evie wants to stay on this tribe forever because Evie's in complete control, just numbers wise, because of the fact that the numbers are so low. And then on top of that, the only person who's like really truly against her is Xander, and Xander doesn't even have a vote. And so that leaves two people who are really allegiant to her, and one person who has no choice but to do so and try and pull her and Lyanna probably to vote out Tiffany is what Xander would try and do. And so she's in a very big swing vote position. I feel like if she can just not mess it up and just stay in control, she's really good to get to the merge. I'm worried about her when she gets to the merge, because the other 2 tribes could just team up and vote her tribe out if they have like 2 or 3 members there, and treat them like the healers type of situation. And so it is kind of iffy with her, but right now she is in complete control of her tribe, and I have no worry that she's going to get to the merge, or I guess there's a dissolvation or a swap or something. I think she is totally there, and I think she's here at least until the merge, where she might have to face an uphill battle numbers wise for sure. Next up on the Luvu tribe, for our non-contenders, I've already swelled Heather, so let's talk about her first. So Heather, for me, Heather has no edit. Heather is purple all the way. I know nothing about Heather, and so for that reason, I feel like there's no way that she would go home. Maybe a late pre-merge, maybe, but I really think right now, one, her tribe's not going to lose. That's why a lot of the Luvas for me just are. I have 4 people that are in the content. No, sorry, I have 3 people that are in the contender spot for me, and that's a lot compared to the other 2 tribes that have 2 each. And for me, with this tribe, because this tribe is just going to win so much, unless you're an obvious person to go, I'm not worried about you getting voted out. I'm more worried about Heather not being able to win at the end. I don't think Heather has a shot to win at the end. I think she fits that perfect, like Julie, or is it Julie? Yeah, Julie from Edge of Extinction archetype, where she's going to get to the end, be emotional, and just get no votes, and nobody's really going to care about her. And I feel like that's really her place on this. If she can get to final tribal, I feel like that's her place. And I just don't think the jury's gonna respect her gameplay or her as a person. Really, it's not like she has some crazy good story. And so I feel like for that reason, I do have to put her in the non-contender spot. 2 more. My second non-contender from this tribe is Erica. Again, I've voiced it several times. I think Erica just doesn't have the ability to gain that respect from the jury. I look at Erica, I'm like, okay. Like I would never give Erica the $1 million. I just don't see her being able to convince a group of 10 people and stand up to them and be assertive enough to get them to want her to win. And I feel like even if she plays like a decent strategical game, I don't see anyone like wanting her to win that bad to the point where they're like, oh, please, like I need to give her a vote. I feel like she doesn't have like that magic. She doesn't have like the it factor that you need to convince a jury of your peers to give you $1 million. I don't see that backbone in her personally, at least not to this point. And obviously she's also got no edit, so I feel like there's no way she's going to go home. This is a lot more of a you're not going to win than a you're going to go home issue for me when it comes to Erica and Heather for that matter as well. And lastly, out of the non-contenders on this tribe, this is a little bit different. So I have Nasir here. I think Nasir's in trouble because he's gotten like this up and down edit, and that's really never good in a pre-merge when you don't get a very consistent edit. It's very up and down. I feel like he could be like the obvious boot from this tribe if they lose. My thing is, I honestly think this Luba tribe is not going to lose one time in this entire pre-merge. Like I genuinely think that. Now, originally, I thought that they would have to vote somebody out at least once in this pre-merge because originally I had been predicting a dissolvation of the tribe that gets dwindled down, but it seems like instead of one of the tribes in Nuua and Yase losing all of them, it seems like they're just kind of splitting the losses back and forth. And so because that's the case, I feel like personally I'm much more confident that Luvu is not going to have to vote anybody out at all, period. That being said, if they have to, I think Nasir is probably the obvious boot here. He's been scheming. It's really not working. He keeps trusting these specifically really Sydney, in which they just go and tell the guys every single time, and I think he knows it, and he keeps doing it. It's like you're trying to break down a brick wall. Go talk to the guys. Maybe y'all can team up and bring in like a Sydney, and you vote out Erica or Heather. Or bring in a Erica and vote out a Sydney or a Heather. Instead, for some reason, Nasir keeps wanting to target these 2 people who are in powerful positions on the tribe, and so for that reason, I do have to put Nasir in the non-contender spot. All right, and for my contenders, obviously you guys know by now it's going to be Deshaun, Danny, and Sydney. Now, Deshaun was a very, very close cut. Obviously, I've been pretty negative on Deshaun preseason and into the early season, but I can't deny the fact that he is in a very strong position. Him and Danny are the power couple on this tribe. Now, they're not without opposition because the women seem to be even stronger together, despite the fact that we've seen Sydney and Heather fight in some secret scenes. I don't really take secret scenes to heart as far as what's going to happen in the actual show. And so I do feel like Danny and Deshaun are a really, really good spot because they have Sydney and Erica and Heather kind of with them, especially Sydney for sure. And so I can't doubt that. I mean, like Deshaun is in a really good spot, and if I'm putting Danny there, I have to consider putting Deshaun. So Deshaun's a very close cut, but obviously I do feel like if it's not Nasir, if Nasir can pull the ladies over with him, I do think that Deshaun is the one that they target and they keep Danny for tribe strength. And I feel like Deshaun is the more expendable out of his power duo of Danny. I feel like he's the more expendable tribe mate, and so I feel like if him and Danny do get flipped on in this tribe, I do think Deshaun is going home 100%. But the issue is I just don't feel like there's a situation where they lose it all, period. But definitely not. I really don't see like a very likely like situation where Nasir has the social capital to flip it right back on Danny or on Deshaun. And same goes for Danny. I just kind of talked about them both in the same thing, so I'll just keep moving on to Sydney, our last person. I think Sydney's in the best spot on this tribe. I think Sydney has great relationships with everybody. Obviously, we saw her tiff with Heather, but obviously, if it was super important, it probably would have made the show, I would think. And so I feel like overall, she has great relationships with everyone, even including the person who kind of wants to get her out, and Heather. I know her and Erica are very close. I think the women in general have a bond, and so that's also a fallback. But on top of that, I think what really sets her apart from everybody else in this tribe is that she's very connected to both the men and the women. I think her and the guys are definitely the closest out of any of the other women. She's the one who has the closest bond with the guys, and it's not even close. I think that her and the guys could rule the tribe completely, because if Nasir votes for whoever, Erica and Heather vote for somebody, and then her and the guys vote for somebody, that person's going to go home in a 3-2-1 vote. I think her and the guys could run it. I think her and the women could run it. I think her and Nasir could secretly run it. Literally, she has so many options here, and on top of that, I didn't even mention she has Nasir coming to her, knowing that it's a bad choice because he has such a bond with her, or at least he thinks he does, that he feels comfortable coming to her, ruining his game repeatedly. I think she's in a great spot, and I think it's really not even close as to who is in the best spot in this tribe. I think it really isn't even close for me. And so on the first tribe, I think right now Evie is in a great spot. City is in a great spot. And then for the next tribe, moving forward, here are my non-contenders. For the Ua tribe, the green tribe, we got Ricard as my first non-contender. It's not necessarily because I think Ricard's in a bad spot. I think Ricard's in a pretty good spot. He's second in command to Shantel, and I don't think there's a situation where Shantel flips on him unless he does something really wrong. Now, I do think that she could flip on him, knowing that he's going to be a big threat, and because of the fact that he's gotten such a negative edit, and really that's the main thing, is that his edit has been so negative. It's been like villain, like really, really bad, like to the point where they're just trashing on him. He's gotten 2 big confessionals that I can personally remember from him. And that's one when he's talking about JD in a negative way, and it's very negative, and he's saying, JD, he's too good, I need to get him out. And then when he's talking about Brad, he's like, what a stupid player, stupid. Like, it's very negative, and it makes you hate him, like not in a personal way, but in as a character on TV, it makes you really dislike him. And I can tell that they're really trying to push that narrative. I don't think that's an accident. In fact, I think they almost didn't like when he said the guys thing, because they wanted to give him hero right after that, but then he's probably going to get voted out, not around the merge, and so they probably need to give him that villain, or at least at the end of the pre-merge, he could be like a Bradley or like a Peter, like a pre-merge villain. I think that's probably where his spot is, and so that's why I am worried for him as far as Shantel flipping on him and going with JD, and Genie exists somewhere out there, I think. And so he could be in a bad spot. Really, it all comes down to Shantel, and so for that reason, I do feel like overall Ricard's in a really decent spot, but nothing to call home about. Nothing astronomical where you're like, oh my god, this guy's in a perfect spot. And on top of that, I think if he gets to the end, he's gonna have a tough time if he is how he is in confessional to the other players in real life. But overall, negative edit for me is the main thing with him that really keeps him out of the contenders list. All right, and for my last non-contender of the season in general, but definitely of this tribe right now, is going to be Genie. Enough said. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, Genie has no game. I don't even know what island Genie's on. Maybe they're just not showing it, but Genie has 0 game from what we're seeing as viewers, and I think that's definitely a recipe that I either be a really, really soon boot, like a very, very upcoming vote, or just be like a person who gets dragged to the end, or just gets kind of caught around 8 or 9 or something like that. I feel like she's very, very under edited, and not in a way where it's like, oh, Heather and Erica are gonna get the merch because they're on Luvu. No, Genie is on Ua, and so she's gonna have a tough time getting through the game. And on top of that, she's a terrible player. So I feel like Genie, there's not much to say about her other than obviously she's not a contender to win Survivor 41. And I mean, if you think she is, you can tell me about it in the comments. In fact, you know what? Give me your contenders list in the comments. Who are your contenders from each tribe? Let me know. All right, let's get to the contenders on UA, and then we can talk about some other little topics, some other little superlatives that we have for the season at the moment. So I do have JD in the spot. This is, again, a very, very tough, close call. JD, I'm not worried about him being able to win at the end. I think he has a great shot to win at the end. I think he beats most people on the season right now. I think the issue with JD is I don't know if he can get to the next vote, let alone the merge. I feel like JD is in a very, very crossroady sort of situation where if he stays loyal to Shantel and doesn't try and get mad at her because she like kind of strong-armed him, like, and said, "Oh, our bronze broken" and stuff like that, I think he'll be in a good spot. But from the next time on Survivor, I'm not so sure of that. It seems like he feels like a lot like very betrayed by her, and it seems like they might have some sort of confrontation or argument or something like that. And so I'm not very high on that as a person who's trying to analyze the season. Seeing somebody like berate the person who's, or not berate, but get into an altercation with a person who's in complete control of the tribe strategically and socially is not a good idea. And so I think if he can, he's at a crossroad right now, and I feel like it depends on what he chooses as to how much of a chance he has to succeed in general. And so I have him here just because I do think that if he can patch things up with Shantel, then he has a great shot to get far in the game once he gets to the merge. And then from there, I think if he gets to the end, he has a very, very, very good shot of winning the game overall and having a good final tribal council speech. And lastly, but not least, I've talked about her so much, and we haven't even got to her yet. It's Shantel. She's the absolute mafioso. I forget what she called herself, the gangster pastor or something like that. The mafia pastor. There we go. She's in complete control of this tribe. I think she's actually playing a better game right now than Evie. And I feel like it's showing, because I think right now she could go with Ricard. She can go with JD. And Jeannie doesn't really want her out. Jeannie wants Ricard out right now. So it's not even like the person who's like on the bottom wants her out. They want somebody else out. Whereas, and I think with Jeannie, there are people on her tribe who would flip on her. Xander really being the main person. Now, of course, Xander doesn't have a vote, but Xander's still a person who can put it into the minds of Tiffany and Lyanna. Whereas, and I feel like with Shantel, I don't see a spot where she gets blindsided here unless JD just goes rogue and tries to get Jeannie to flip on her, and then it's a 2-2 vote where you have a very interesting vote. But I feel like overall right now, Shantel is in a very, very good spot where it just does no one any benefit to vote her out on her tribe, including Jeannie, which is the person who you would think would be like the person who, they want her out because they're not really on her side. No, literally everybody benefits from keeping her in the game, and I think that serves her well as a player in this game. And so that's why overall she does end up as a contender for this season. All right, well, I mean, we've gone through everything now. I just want to go through some stuff that I'll do at the end of each of these videos. So first, let's go with our current winner pick. So I start out with Danny, and I have not changed. I'm sticking with Danny. I don't necessarily think he has the best shot to win right now, but I do think he has a shot. And so for that reason, I'm not going to just swap my winner pick, willy-nilly. The only time that I'll swap my winner pick is if Danny just does something crazily stupid and like he has no shot anymore, or if he gets voted out, because then I kind of have to change it. And so for now, we're going to stick with Danny being the person who I feel like is doing the best as far as keeping his threat level low right now. Like, he's not like, no one's like, oh, like Joey amazing, like that's Danny, even though he's probably just as good as a provider as Joey is, so it is a very interesting spot that he's in. I don't think he's playing necessarily like I want him to play, making all of these pre-merge alliances so that he can use them in the post-merge. But we'll have to see if he can kick into gear like Jeremy did at the merge and really just start using shield after shield after shield. As far as our purple edit people, right now we got Heather, Erica, and Jeannie in that order as well, for most purple to least purple. And so yeah, that's who we have as our current purples. As far as the worst player right now, I got Jeannie, and it's not even really close. As far as our best player right now, I have Shantel, and again, it's not very close. I think her and Evie are definitely stacking on top, and I think I think her and Evie are kind of close. But as far as her and Evie, and then their separation from everybody else, I don't think that's even somewhat close. Like, not even an iota of close. As far as the merge boot prediction right now, I'm going to go with JD. I feel like JD is in a tough spot right now where if he gets to the merge and everyone turns on the Uwa tribe, which I think the Yase tribe, if everyone doesn't target the Yase tribe and instead it's more like the Yase gets to pick between, going with the Lubu tribe and the Ua tribe. I think that because of the pre-existing relationships with people like Xander and Danny having a pre-existing bond, and then also obviously we saw Evie and Deshaun having a really strong pre-merge bond. I feel like if it came down to it, Yase would flip with Luvu instead of flipping with Ua. And if that's the case, you're looking at Ua being targeted, and I think they'll probably target JD first because he's the great mixture of a golden boy, really good socially and strategically, super fan, and also really good in challenges, you would think at least. And so I feel like right now I have JD as my merge boot prediction. And that's it, guys. I mean, tomorrow is the post-game show. Tune in, guys. Tune in, be in the comments. I love talking to you guys. We have so much fun there. It gets kind of crazy. You never know who's going to pop up. Last week, we had Snuffed, Underdog, Skylander in there. Russell might pop up. You have no idea who's going to pop in. So tune in. 5 minutes after the episode drops, we'll be live for about an hour and a half, just talking Survivor, answering your questions in the comments. Thank you guys so much for the continuous support. I'm so glad to be back. I mean, I wouldn't rather have it any other way. And again, guys, suggestions down in the comments. Like, comment, share. Like right now. Like turn it at full screen button. Hit that. And then go press like. And then subscribe. And then turn on the notification bell. And then hit again. And then make sure it's on all notifications. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But you can do whatever you want. But thank you guys so much for the continuous support. And I will talk to you guys in the next one.